MMA Rants and Raves, Dos Santos versus Ivanov in the UFC's heavyweight division. Guys, let's talk about this fight. You know, I've been watching this Ivanov guy. I've seen some of his fights, and for a heavyweight, he seems to really move around quite well. However, is he really a heavyweight? I mean, I don't know if you guys seen this competition he had against Fedor. It looked like some sort of a combat sambo competition, and he looked visibly leaner. I mean, he looked like a middleweight. And now he's this heavyweight. I mean, he's 5'11", and he's over 250 pounds. So, if you look at him, I mean, he's barrel-chested, just a wide, big guy. Not that tall. And when I say not that tall, I'm talking about the prototype of the current UFC heavyweight. I mean, we're looking at the top of the division. If you notice, they're 6'4". I mean, going from Stipe to now Curtis Blades to Overeem to Junior, Ben Rothwell, they're 6'4" and up. You know, Alexander Volkov, he's 6'7". And if you notice, all these guys, they're at the top of the division. So it basically tells you more than ever that size matters. I mean, when you have guys fighting at the highest level, getting the best training, there's one thing that training cannot help you, and that's size. You know, size is there. It's either a fighter has it or they don't. And that's obviously an advantage, especially as a heavyweight. This is the highest weight class. Now this guy's coming in here, and he's fighting one of these top guys, and he's only 5'11". All right? Now I've looked at his record. I mean, the only name that stands out that he's faced was Alexander Volkov. And as we well know, Alexander Volkov is a legit heavyweight in the UFC. And he lost by submission in the second round. All his victories were guys with not big names. So I'm just trying to wonder, like, why is the UFC putting this fight together? He is making his UFC debut. He hasn't faced anyone significantly that he has a victory or it's been a close fight or anything like that. And they're giving him Junior? I mean, don't you guys think they're throwing him to the wolves? Now the question is, are they throwing him to the wolves? Because my question is, what's left of Junior's chin? That's what I'm wondering about. I mean, if you notice, his more recent fights, he suffered more knockouts than ever. I mean, this guy, his strategy was very offensive. If you watched most of his fights throughout his career, especially his explosive run to the title, I mean, he was flattening opponents, just being very aggressive, not much hands-up action and defense. It was more aggressiveness with his strikes, his boxing, and his chin. I mean, he just came forward. That's the kind of fighter he was. Now, as his career went on, he wasn't able to put guys away as much, and he got into these brutal wars where he took tons of punishment. Again, that chin was holding up, but then it seemed it wasn't holding up as much as it was. I mean, after the wars he's had against Cain Velasquez, against Stipe Miocic, I mean, the chin wasn't holding up. He was getting hit and he was going down against another hard hitter, an Overeem, another guy. So the question is, against this guy, maybe the UFC is asking the same question, is this the same Junior? Can Junior prove himself to come back and be resilient like a lot of heavyweights have? And, you know, he has. I mean, he didn't look good at all against Overeem, and then he came back very impressive, a new training camp against one of the most terrifying forces in the UFC, against Ben Rothwell, and came out victorious. So he was showing he can fight more defensively, use different strategies. Sometimes when things change as a fighter for you, you have to adapt, and you can still be competitive. The question is the chin still there? And after the devastating loss against Stipe, it just makes you wonder if it is. Maybe that's one reason why they're putting this fight together. They want to see if Junior can still do it, if Junior can still be competitive at the top of this division. So that's pretty interesting here. Now, this obviously would be an easy pick. You're thinking Junior, right? Well, you know, this guy's coming in, undersized heavyweight, fighting against a world-class legend, former champion in Junior, who's faced and beaten most of the who's who in mixed martial arts, and this is going to be a test for both of these guys, basically. The thing is, I just think this guy is undersized. Now, the thing is here, that's just what I mentioned before. Size matters. The guy's 5'11". How many 5'11" heavyweights are there out there in the UFC? I can't think of many. I mean, I can think of Mark Hunt. I think he's 5'10", but Mark Hunt is a very unusual type of heavyweight. I mean, you know, it's just the way he fights, how he uses his size. You know, the chin and the striking. I mean, he's a K1 championship caliber striker. The bottom line is, I just think size is a factor here. I mean, at only 5'11", he's going to have to deal with one of these monster-sized heavyweights, and it might be a factor where Junior could just keep him on the outside, create distance, and just pick him apart with his boxing. I mean, that's a possibility. Something like this might happen. I'm going to go to prediction and have Junior Dos Santos to win this fight. I would like to know what you think about the fight. Please leave your comments. Please subscribe. Please like up this video, and thank you for tuning in.